I get to wondering the other day about whether or not Trump knows they're fake Christians. He knows there's a fake media. I got to wonder, does he really know there's a fake segment of the body of Christ? They really are. So let's talk about it for a little bit. You ever meet somebody that loved to babble? I mean, they could talk your head off. They're experts on just about any topic that arises in a conversation. You bring something up and they immediately can relate to it, to something in their experience, and they want to tell you all about it. They present an image of somebody that's extremely competent, somebody that knows a lot more than you do, and a lot more than most people do. But after a while, you come to realize that all they are talk. That's it. They got to talk, but they don't got to walk. There's no substance to them. If you look to their life, you see there's no correlation to the image that they've tried to convey and the life that they actually live. I've seen my fair share of fakes in my day, and I've seen too what people who avoid wisdom and avoid truth and who stick with their ignorance, I've seen what happens to them. The truth is just so important. You know, you really need to pursue it. You need to pursue wisdom. Proverbs 10:8 says, "The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool will fall." The modern version says, "a babbling fool." That verse has two types of people. There are individuals who pay attention to the commandments. The commandments, by the way, are admonitions given to mankind. Jesus said those who loved him would obey him. So God expects us to pay attention to his commandments. And that person or those persons will hear wise counsel from others. They'll seek truth. The other individual is seen as somebody who babbles, a talker, but not a doer. That person, of course, is somebody that apparently tries to impress you or me, others, with his or her wisdom or their knowledge about something with a plethora of words. That's all they're about, words. They're just talkers. They're not doers. I had a friend like that. He was a nice guy, talked a good game, but that's all he was about, talk. He didn't walk the walk. He just had the talk. Obeying God was not in his lexicon. Doing God's will, what's that? That wasn't his thing. He could talk about God and even about doing God's will, but that's all it was, talk. So, don't be one of those who tries to talk their way through life. Don't be a fake Christian. There's enough of those. The churches are full of fake Christians. And, don't fake your way through life. You don't know something, learn it, study it, and don't be ashamed or embarrassed to say, I don't know. One of the things I learned early on as a lawyer was to look at a client and say, I don't know, to their question. I might say, I don't know, but I can find the answer. But I learned early on not to try to bluff my way through a matter. If you know something, you know it. If you don't, then you don't. And you need to measure yourself and say, what do I really know? And not try to fool others into thinking you know something more than you do. Look, let me qualify a little bit of what I'm saying here too about being open, about being wise, and about hearing counsel, and about being foolish, about being ignorant. All of us has been ignorant at times. You've been ignorant about something. You still are. So am I. You've been foolish. We've all been foolish, maybe even stupid. Give you a good example of not being wise. I got into law school. At the time I went into law school, I was working full time. I had not graduated from high school. And so I had to I got my GED in the Navy. And so I I entered undergraduate. It took me 5 years, stumbled out of there, and then it took me 3 more years to get out of law school. I was exhausted. I was so overworked, and God bless my wife. She was her burdens increased dramatically as well. She basically became a single mom in essence, and but in doing this, I violated so many principles, physical, spiritual, you name it. I violated it. I pushed myself, and then when I finally managed to stumble out of law school, I kept going. I pushed constantly. Here I was working. I worked my way through law school, working full time and going to school full time. Not a good thing. And I remember maybe it was my third year law school. I think it was. I was working also on Sundays. My wife and I worked in a department called the Pathfinders, which was mentally handicapped. And it was run by a husband and wife, Bob and Irene Houston. And Irene was a little short Southern woman, and I came in one Sunday and I was tired. I was exhausted as usual. In fact, some mornings I would actually go in and go into one of the rooms and catch a half-hour sleep during the opening segment of the program. So I came in and we were talking, and she steps up to me and she puts her finger in my chest and pokes it 2 or 3 times, and she says in her Southern drawl, "Now, Vol, if you keep doing this, you're going to hurt yourself. You can't keep doing this. You need to slow down." And so for a couple minutes, she lectured me, and I of course ignored it because I thought I was John Wayne. I thought I'm tough. I can do this, and it was just my ignorance. I was too dumb to realize how stupid I was. I was too proud to pay attention to advise me. Gave me wise counsel. So here's what happened. I got out of law school, didn't slow down. In fact, the first case I took was a federal civil rights case. Now, you'd think that somebody coming out of law school would at least do a small claims case. No, I had to go top. I had to go right into federal court. And all of this is stress. I've already lived under stress for 8 years. And here I am right out of law school, and I'm right into federal civil case. So anyway, I'm just pushing the whole time. I'm not backing off, not slowing down, and not paying attention to anything. So I reach a point about, 10, 12 years later. Let's see, it probably would have been almost 20 years. So I did pretty good, about 20 years. And I ended up in the hospital, ended up having a quad bypass, nearly died. And I'm laying in my hospital bed, and the doctor comes in, stands at the end of my bed in his little white coat, arms folded. He looks at me, he knew what I did for a living. He said, "Mr. Glover, do you want to live?" And I thought, oh boy, here comes the lecture. And I was right. He gave me a lecture. He lectured me on stress. Now, if you'd have asked me or said to me, "Hey, stress is bad," I would have said, "Yeah, well, it is." But inside, I would have said, "But I can deal with it." Well, let me tell you, by the time the doctor finished his lecture, I knew I could not deal with stress like I had been subjecting my body to. Look, folks, if you do certain things, you don't take care of your body or you abuse your body, you're going to pay a price. It may take you like it took me 20 years, but you will pay a price. And so, I did. So all that to say this, we all can plead guilty to being ignorant, but don't continue to be ignorant. Don't continue to reject sound advice. Be real. there's too much fake out there. Now, being real doesn't mean you have to be transparent with everything your whole life, especially today with the social media. You can't afford to be totally transparent. There are dogs out there that'll eat you alive. So I'm not saying or suggesting you do that. I mean, everybody wears a mask of sorts. We just can't afford to um, display all of our laundry to everybody, and there's really no need for that. There's no reason for that. But being real means you're not fake. You're actually a real Christian. You're not just talking. You're actually doing the things that Christ commanded you to do. You're actually working at it. You're actually studying to show yourself wise and to learn the scriptures and to do the things, the commandments that God says. You're not fake. So you're not just talking the talk. And listen, there are so many out there that's it. And I hope you're not one of them. Are you a fake Christian? Are you the real deal? Yeah, I have no way of knowing. I can't look at somebody and say, "Oh, he's a fake and she's not." And I don't. We're not judges like that. But God's going to one day sort it all out. And trust me, when that time comes, it's not a time for uh-oh. It's done. It's over with. And it may be that it cost you an eternal destiny in a place you don't want to go. All because of image, all because you wanted to play a part, all because you wanted to be an actor or an actress to other people, to fake them out, to make them believe you were something you were not. Don't be that way. And by the way, for you that you do have the walk, and don't be full of yourself and feel like you've got to tell everybody how good you are and holy you are, how many people you've helped and prayed for or witnessed to, or how many old ladies you've helped across the street. Be the real deal. Don't be an egotist. Don't be full of yourself. Reiteration. Babblers tend to be egotists. They tend to totally disregard the counsel of God, the things that God commands us to do. They're fake. You don't want to be a fake, especially a fake Christian. You can be fake in a lot of other things and get away with it, but not as a Christian. You can't afford that. Look, time's growing short. It really is. I mean, shorter than you could ever dream. I just know that. I'm a student of the Bible, and I'm telling you, time is short. The fuse is already lit. How much time do we have? I don't know. 6 months, a year? I would say no more than 2. I cannot imagine this world going on more than 2 years like it is without a serious event, such as a nuclear war. We're on the edge of war right now. We're closer to a nuclear war than we've ever been. I was in the Navy during the Cuban crisis and sitting off the coast of Cuba. I learned later, maybe 8 or 10 years later, after Russia got freedom from under the communist rule, and a lot of things came out. One of the things came out was how close we came to nuclear war. The little nutcase that was the shoebanger who was heading Russia at the time was actually going to push that proverbial red button. And he got talked down by people wiser than him in the military and in the political arena. So we are closer now, I think, than we've been even then, because we have people with their fingers on the button who've said they will push that button. And given the right circumstances, they're going to do it. And do you think that Satan would be for that or against that? Do you think that Satan would be urging these people to push that button? Give you, 2 guesses. Yeah. We both know what Satan would want, because that would be the loss of millions of lives. And that's what he's all about, the destruction of lives. So, all that to say this: don't be a fake. Don't be a babbler. Babblers are going to disregard the counsel of God. Fools are going to disregard the wisdom found in the Bible and found with God. The things that God commands us to do, they're going to disregard. The fake Christians are going to disregard loving their neighbor, but doing good to others, praying for one another, being holy, serving God. Bottom line, quit talking about who and what you are and how much you know about God, and start demonstrating it. Capiche? Thanks for listening.